Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Coffee and No Other Map with Jeff. So, I'm going to try a few things here today, so bear with me, but I am going through and doing things a little differently so that I can get my get some of this stuff set up properly. Okay. And I do have some notes this time as opposed to just flying off the cuff as I have normally done. And the one thing with the notes is that it'll at least help me stay on track. But I got to get my tablet in a position where I can see it and the mic doesn't cover it up. That's better. But I will have to use the tablet here in a little bit to help analyze the map. Otherwise I can't do a whole lot else. Let's see here. I just want to double check what's going on. Didn't too early to show that, but that's where we're at. Let's see here. Oh, I know why. I minimized the page I wanted to see. Okay, so in this case, let's go back. Can I do that? It's probably gonna. Okay, there we go. All right, things looks like they're. Oh yes, there we are. Stream metrics. Good. Everything looks good so far. I am online as far as I can tell. I do have my comments up in another box so I can kind of see as if anybody does comment. Not that I'm expecting a whole lot at this point anyway, because I don't announce these. I do them when I have a chance and when I remember. And in this case, I am getting ready to transition into nights. So I kind of, it's a self-inflicted. I swapped with somebody to help them out. So I just got done with 5 day shifts, and now I am going directly into 4 night shifts. That starts tonight. So my last day shift was yesterday, and now I have 4 night shifts through the weekend. So I'll be working 9 days in a row. How do I get away with that? Well, part of the time goes right through the end of the time pay period. So we reset on Saturday night, Sunday morning. So that's how that works. So two night shifts this week and 2 on the next. So without further ado, we'll get into this. Just want to look at some of the observations, especially in the last 24 hours. The big thing here to notice is the amount of freezing rain in the observations at Gaylord. But that's not just been Gaylord. It's also been a bit on everywhere else too, for the most part. And to show you a little bit, oops, that's not the one I wanted. There we go. And to show you kind of with what happened, here's some of the ice reports that the office put on Facebook here overnight. Let's see, when was that? 4 hours ago they posted. So just a little bit before 7 this morning, and it's currently 11:15, 11:16 from looking at the clock. So at the office itself, they had 1,507-inch. Cathro, that's over by Alpena, so a little bit south of where Cathro is. It's 1,400. St. Ignace had 10, a tenth of an inch. Bliss up by between it's north of Petoskey and it's east or west of Pellston, near the lakeshore, and it had 1,500s. Pellston pretty much in that general vicinity at 1,300s. Eckerman in the UP said they had 100th of an inch. I know that we were getting some phone calls yesterday before I left that said that they'd had a fair amount of ice, and we had a fair amount of ice, but a lot of it didn't freeze on the roads. In fact, when I looked up this morning, there were only 2 schools closed. One was just due to low attendance, probably due to sickness, and the other one, it didn't say why, and it was down in the Ross Common area. So if memory serves. So the roads themselves weren't terrible, but the trees do have some ice on them. I haven't seen any quarter-inch reports that are reliable. I know some people say they have a quarter-inch of snow or ice on some things, but when you actually, um, measure it and take away, like if you did it on a stick, or like in the case of the office here, on a frozen, this is part of the antenna tower. Um, you can measure that, but that's not necessarily a quarter inch. You can either break it off and try to measure the actual thickness there, or you can take a big measurement, which is what people do with sticks a lot of times, and then they forget to subtract out the middle where how thick the stick actually was, measure it, and then they have to cut it in half because ice is on both sides, so you have to get rid of the ice on the opposite side because you want the thickness of just one side of ice, and that's where it usually ends up. But we have had a fair amount of rain, which is one of the concerns we'd had, especially on the east side of the state. The thing with the rain is that we do have a few rivers in our forecast area when I'm there that we've been watching, the Rifle River specifically, where I believe they still have a river forecast warning, a flood warning out right now. It's minor flooding, but it's there. And then the other one is the Tittabawassee and its tributaries. And if you're not familiar with the Tittabawassee River, it's the one that basically kind of runs from part of Ogama County, but it has a fairly large basin there on the southeast that kind of cuts off south of the Asable River, and it's just west of the Rifle River. And then it drains through Gladwin County, and that's where 2 years ago, yeah, it was, it's fuzzy now, the dates, but it was either 2 or 3 years ago that we had one dam got overtopped and gave way, and then it caused a cascade failure downstream at Edenville, which drained Wixom Lake, and then all that went into the city of Midland, which is in the Detroit forecast area. So that was quite a site, and I was working through a lot of that event. However, so the emergency management officials, especially in Gladwin County, are very sensitive to the flood issues that come up. And so looking at some of these rain amounts, they're especially like, not necessarily Iosco, that usually goes into the Rifle River. So there could be some more flooding there for Aranac County and Alger. Well, Sterling specifically is where the river runs through. So you can see kind of that. Areas between, say, Houghton Lake and Gladwin up to almost West Branch. Those are the areas that we'd be concerned with. Now, so far I haven't seen a whole lot in there. But the fact that Iosco County had a couple of spots with over 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches. Silver Creek is a Forest Service RAWS site, so it looks like they picked up quite a bit of rain there in that part of it. But that's part of the Asable River Basin, and it's downstream of any of the dams. So that's we'll just keep an eye on it, but probably that will go right out to the lake and not have any issues. It's also ice jam season, as we call it. So that's one of the things that we've had. All right, so those are some of the observations. Oh, and one other thing that I noted. I pulled up this Mackinac Bridge authority page because I'd gotten an alert saying that the bridge was closed. Although as of 11:04, at least on their webpage, it just says icy conditions, reduced speed, grading is closed. Oh, there it is. Okay, it has finally updated. Yeah, so they've closed it to all traffic. All right. Yeah, and a lot of times when it gets icy on the bridge, or they have ice on the bridge, and we get in melting conditions, ice will be falling off of the towers and some of the wires, and that causes them to close it down for a bit. So we'll see where we're at, but that's just something that's happening currently as well. And we can get rid of that one. And we will come back to that one. Oh, and the only reason I had TweetDeck up was because of the emergency manager spot here. Yeah, there's the Mackinac Bridge. Closed 13 minutes ago on Twitter there. This particular tweet. Closed, reduced the speed to 20 approaching the bridge and prepare to stop. Personnel stationed at both ends of the bridge to provide instructions. When conditions improve, the bridge will reopen. And, and that's I-75. So, that kind of slows things down quite a bit. All right, we'll get rid of that as well because we won't need that for a bit. So I will switch over to one of the other preview. There we go. And let's see here. So if I start this, and it should start showing up on my screen, I thought. Dun, dun, dun. A trackpad or camera is required. Of course you're going to be silly with me. Okay, so I did this a completely different way than I usually do. All right, so we will... what is this? All right, let's do a save. Revert to remain. Move to. Let's see here if we can move this. It's not on the desktop. Oh, wait. I should be able to go and do this. All right. Let's see here. So we will pull this up. Yeah, the next thing is to actually... oh, I know what I'm forgetting to do. So... but now that I know that this isn't working, this is where I wanted to go. So at 8 o'clock this morning, this is where the low pressure that's been causing all this problem was. It's actually kind of sort of stretched itself out and split it into two. And let's see here if this is going to go. And you can kind of see we've got a fair amount of activity on the map, at least as far as what this one's concerned. Let's see here. Oh, screenshot. There we are. Nice. Okay, good. Now I got it set. So and we'll just put it into markup mode already. Getting my workflow in here. So one of the nice things with this particular map that you can kind of see with what's going on here. And these numbers in the upper numbers, and they look like the ones that are in red, yes, are the temperatures. And then the green ones below them are the dew points. So what we're seeing, at least at 8 o'clock this morning, there was still a little freezing rain. It looks like that was at Gaylord, which we saw that in the observations. The temperature at Pelston, though, was 33 over 31, so probably is not freezing. Same thing up here in the Sioux, although if I remember right from the radar, it was not precipitating in that area, which we'll see here shortly. Let me get my iPad capture ready to go. And one of the things, so we kind of see with how the general look is. It's always helpful to do it this way. Oh, there's even a little trough that kind of goes out this way, out here, through there. So there'll be some of that we'll be analyzing. And looks like we'll probably be another warm front and cold front. And we don't get that far into Montana. Okay, so we'll probably see part of the warm front here, or be right on the edge of the map. And then maybe see a little bit of this warm front. So we'll probably see some of these features. They may be all kind of moved off. We'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and we will go over to the current map that I pulled up here at 11 o'clock. I'm going to unplug my tablet. I got enough charge now. And I'm going to move my mic here so I can see what I'm doing. So let's pick the low center. Looks like it is going to be about here. Oops, that's not what I wanted. We're going to undo that. Okay. No, but now I don't want blue. I want red. Okay. So it looks about a bit in here. And then I guess you can also argue that there's also another low roughly in here. And kind of as we saw it earlier, it was kind of looking like this before. So, and now we're going to switch over to a color that we use for the ISO bars. So 2 looks to be a little too far, and I do these every 2 millibars. So it looks like 1004-ish is what we're going to start with. And we can kind of say that this is an O2 low. And then 6. Oops. I'm going to erase part of this because I missed the 5 there. 1006 and this. Yeah, one of the things that we saw yesterday, especially in the morning, was we were getting some very high winds off of the east flow, which is not usually the characteristic that we see. 1006. And then 08 looks to be, we'll start up here. And part of that's because of how closed together the isobars were yesterday in advance of this low pressure system. Looks like that comes around like this. This is the 08. And then 10. Let's kind of look at, just like you're live, not what you're reporting. Just liking you're live, not you're reporting. Thank you. Yes. I do the same thing to my wife. That was from my wife. I do the same thing. So when she goes on and does her makeup tutorials or her coffee and makeup, which are usually on Fridays in the morning when she's got her day off from her church work, that...
Excuse me, there is a message for you.
Oops. Okay. Yep. I forgot to silence my phone there. As they, my wife and daughter are playing Wordle, Quordle, and Nerdle, and I think even they do some other ones like Wordle 2. Come on, I want a eraser. There we go. Okay. We're doing 10, 12, and I kind of messed into the wrong spot. There we go. Yeah, so, yeah, if you don't hear anything, it's probably not my mic. It's probably me just concentrating on what I'm doing here. I kind of do all this stuff. 10, 14. There we go. Oops, 14. These are the 14s. 15, I don't see a 16. It's probably just off the page. Here's that other low pressure system up there. So there's another 12. We can do a 12 down here. Oh my goodness, did they finally fix that Minot ob? I think it was Minot. No, maybe not. Maybe it just didn't pick it up this time. There's an ob in North Dakota. I thought it was this one here that usually reports an erroneous sea level pressure, and I think it's what it's doing is reporting the station pressure. Because I actually went back and looked through, and I'm not sure how that was being handled. Those are weather service in / FAA issues, depending on who's in charge of those. There's a 10, 10, 10. So 08, 06. It's very, yeah, there we go. 6, 04. Yeah, it looks like there's an O2 line right about there. O2. So that low pressure that we saw earlier, we could just flip back here. Up here in this corner is way up in Manitoba. Oh, this is Saskatchewan. So it's just off the map here. So it's up there. And then it had this warm front, which I can kind of make out here. It looks like. Why don't we go ahead and try to fill that one in? It looks like it's about in here. But as you get into the high pressure, then it kind of messes all the winds are just coming out, and they're kind of very light and stewing around. You can kind of look at it through temperature, but yeah, then the temperatures become all muddled. I think what they had was down like something like this, where the trough kind of is. So let's erase this part here, and we'll just fix up the lines. There we go. So that's the warm front, at least on that other system. Oh, and we can probably put a high pressure here. It's pretty rough. The actual area where the high pressure is back in Colorado, but there's a pretty decent little ridge here. Oops. And again, I used the wrong pencil. That needs to go back to black. And I need to do this and change that one. There we go. Okay. And then, let's see here. Let's go out to the east, and we will finish the analysis and throw in some fronts, and we should be pretty good to go. Let's see. 10, 12 was the last one here. So the 14's somewhere up in that general area. And I am going to draw this one through here and here, 14. And then a 16. Let's see. Do I have anything that can... Oops. I forgot to switch you back. Okay, so there we go. Here is where I'm at right now. And this is at 15Z on the 24th. Just to put that in perspective so that we know what date this one was. Not sure where the 16 starts. We'll start it out in the middle here. Since I don't have a whole lot of obs to base it off of from that part of Quebec. Probably it was a little early for all the Canadian observations to be in. And I'm not sure how many observations the Canadians have from inside there. Oh, there's something. Okay, so we're going to erase part of this and go back. And it goes out this way. 16, 18, oops, overshooting. Got to pay attention to what the obs are doing. $20, pretty decent little gradient. 22. Oh, okay. So looks like I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can kind of see. Well, that's not good. Guess I needed to put my phone on airplane mode so it didn't pull in that. It's like, okay, unknown name and phone number, or phone number I don't recognize. 22. They can leave a message. And what's this? Oh. And Mary is also texting me. Let's see here. So we are going to go into airplane mode. Oh, the text will still come through. There. We won't get the phone problem anymore. And let's see here. Where were we? Oh, yes. 22, 24. $26. 28. Oh, I guess I do want that one. This is high pressure, so these need to contain the 28. And I think it goes like this. Although it looks like it kind of goes like... Oh, no. Well, that's a 30. Okay, so that's 30. There we go. Okay, so there's the ridge. Now, let's push this back. Okay, so one of the things I noticed, because I was watching Tim Vasquez last night on his weather lab, that there is, let's see, we'll change it to green. Nope, wrong one. That there is some cold air damming. So this high, it's pulling the air around this way. And some of it goes this way when it hits the Appalachian Mountains, especially in Pennsylvania, because of the way their ridges are oriented. and it forces the cold air down the east coast, so that the warm front, and we can switch back to red, looks to be about the warm surge, and then it comes out here, 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 and the warm front is aloft, and now you can kind of switch it back and forth to a stationary front to a certain extent. Whoops, let's put that blue. So you've got an area of warm air in here. You can see 50s, and then it gets 40s, 30s. And the mountains trap all that cold air in the front along the coast, and all the warm air goes aloft over top of it, so it overruns everything. That can lead into a fair amount of rain sometimes, depending on the situation, and even cause problems if you do have precipitation moving in. We've had, I know when I was at State College, either working for AccuWeather or when I was a college student at Penn State, that the cold air would get caught from the cold air damming, would get caught in the river, in the valleys, not the river valleys, but the valleys between the mountains, and then the warm air would go flooding over it, and then you'd end up with a freezing rain event because it would be raining because of all that warm air aloft into the valleys, which were below freezing. So that can be an issue. Right now, it doesn't look like it. Altoona is 46, and looks like it's 45 at Wilkes-Barre, or not Wilkes-Barre, Williamsport, and 43 at Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre at the airport there. So let's put the cold front in here. So this is the main front. You can see the shift from southwest winds to northwest winds. Pretty obvious, and that's where the cold air is. But it's not a huge thing. You see, well, it's 40s here, but then it's mid 30s behind it. The better cold air is way up here in Canada with the 20s. And let's see. And then there's some sort of, actually a good idea. There's a bit of a warm, stationary front between these two. And you've got all this, and I'll just do these in green. You got all this flow here. Now, this is one of the issues that we ran into yesterday and the day before, with especially the day before with the snow that came in, when we were expecting at least a period of freezing rain at the beginning, or at least just even rain. The temperatures were above freezing, but the dew points like that are well below 21 degrees, in fact. And that can cause evaporative cooling. And if you do it in a deep enough part of the atmosphere, instead of rain falling back in, all those raindrops, as they evaporate, cool the atmosphere cold enough to about 32 or 31 or somewhere in that thing, that it will sustain then, it will sustain the snowflakes, because that's what they start out as up in the clouds. So then the snowflakes start to drop through an ever cooling column of air, and the next thing you know, you got a whole bunch of snow. So that was an interesting day. I wish I could have done this back then, but just the schedule just doesn't allow me to jump in here and do this whenever. So I don't know. Let's see what other things going on. So, but across the area, and you can see at 11 o'clock, with our temperatures here. Oh, I see. I didn't switch you back. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's take a look at that. I was looking. Okay, so here's those temperature and dew points as I was pointing out. Oh, not so much there, but especially here in Canada. So you kind of see that idea. You can see the cold front down there and the warm surge, and then the cold air damming that I had down here. Let's see here. Oh, I can't do that when it's on the other screen. So anyway, that is one of the. here's the cold air. You can follow those green lines. You can see how that cold air is being funneled down. And it may not be that super cold at this point, and especially with the streamlines coming off of the ocean, where it's actually warmer out over there because of the Gulf Stream. So, but just just keep in mind that's sometimes a possibility of what's going on. All right, let's see here. Now that I've completely messed up everything from what I was planning on. All right, so where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. So as we zoom in, temperatures have finally started to warm up. And so now, like Sault Ste. Marie's at 36, it's 34 in Alpena, 33 in Traverse City. Ludington's reporting 37. And just south of the low, we're all in the mid-40s now. So there's still sort of a boundary that is keeping our temperatures in the cool side. But at least now, if we get any precipitation, it's liable to be snow. And one of the reasons for that is because as the lows move off, not only is there cold air at the surface, but the cold air aloft starts to push in. And that's one of the things that's going on right now. We've already had one snow shower since I've started doing this. In fact, let's close that and we will quickly show you radar scope for our area. Yeah. So the front, one low is up in this area. I only have one color using radar scope, so bear with me here. And the other one's here-ish. And then the front is roughly down this area. So one of the things that we look for is, I tell people, a lot of forecasting and observation is pattern recognition. So in this type of a pattern, it looks a little fuzzy here, but more than likely, and then look at these MPing. Let's see if I can, I can't do that while it's in this mode. Yeah, these MPing reports are for a mix of rain and snow. Over here in Kalkaska. So we know that it's warm enough that we can actually get rain and snow. But as we saw, the surface temperatures are above freezing. So when the snow is hitting or any of the rain that falls, it's not freezing on anything necessarily, except for maybe the ice that's already there. But that should be also melting as we go. Up here looks very, very, very fuzzy, even as we look in closer at this particular spot here. You can kind of see even the greens are kind of spread out. And that usually, in my mind, means that we're seeing snow as the main precipitation. And in fact, now that I think about it, we can actually change to the hydrometeor classification. There we go. And we'll turn that off. It turned on the inspector. And the inspector is saying dry snow. And then ice crystals, dry snow. And dry snow and moderate rain. Now, one of the things, wet snow, dry snow, biological, one of the things that we notice, and this thing does an okay job with this, but it doesn't do well with a mix. And one of the things that we look for are, when we're looking at some of this, are the melting layers. And we can actually look at that a little bit closer at the office because we have access to all the great data. I'm not sure on radar scope I can do that. I mean, I've got maybe the correlation coefficient. Yeah. Well, yeah, so there's a melting layer in here. And let's bring not the super res tilt, reflectivity. All right, so yeah. So this is probably also a melting layer. It almost lines up with all these higher reflectivities. And so you're getting snow melting, and as that gets wet and gets water on it, the ice crystals get wet, they reflect better. And so you get these reflectivity ideas. So yeah, kind of into that area. So And just looking at the way that these are becoming more uniform here, let's start that again. You can see that this is probably a mix of some sort. Of course, we're also getting closer to the radar, so we're actually shooting lower into the cloud here than out here. And then we have a definite melting layer axis right about in this area, which lines up with this stuff right here by Grayling. So, probably a mix there. Oh, I see now in Kalkaska they're actually reporting rain as of 11:50. So 3 minutes ago on the MPing report. Yeah, I always ask people, yeah, join MPing because that can actually give us some idea, and we can overlay that with our radar so we know better what's going on during that time period because we can line it up with the radar data. So I'm going to change this back to reflectivity. All right, so I went off of my notes there for a second. We are going to go back to this because I think what I have in my notes, let's see, we have done OBS, ICE, map. Oh, and that was the other thing we were going to do. So Firefox. Oops. Here's my Firefox. What I wanted to talk about a little bit was the Hudson Bay High, because this is partly why we had such large amount of dry air and cold air coming through here. Or at least not the cold air, but the dry air that we had, especially a couple of days ago. During the springtime, especially if it's dry and we've got all the snow gone and we're in a dry period, these Hudson Bay highs, and it's given because here's the high pressure system up here, just either over Hudson Bay or a little bit east of it, near James Bay. This whole thing, the isobars come around, and this is a very dry flow. So like trying to get the precipitation in here the other day was taking longer, and then we ended up with that kind of freakishly early snow on the north side there, which ran through Gaylord down to about Oscoda, while places that were south of that line were all rain. And part of it was because of all this dry air from the Hudson Bay High. So this thing can be a very, very big controller of our weather, depending on how the situation sets up. It's also a classic setup for fire weather, which is what I've done for the past 20 years. And when you get a low that moves up through out of the Mississippi Valley, which is where this low came from, and you get this high in here, you get a lot of dry air, and then you can get some really good winds. And so that can give you a high fire danger, which once we lose our snowpack, that will probably be the case. We'll probably have one or two of these pop up here during the next couple of over the next couple of months. Trying to think what the word was. All right, so I wanted to do that, and now we are on. Oh yes. Okay, so we can close that one, and we are going back to WPC. Oh, we did the recent analysis. Analyze. Oh, okay. So that brings us to the forecast, which is what I wanted to go to next. So here's the idea here for today, or at least at 8 a.m. Let's do the interactive forecast. You can zoom in on Michigan then. There we go. So the idea is mixed precipitation. So the main thing, mixed now, is meaning more like rain-snow mix, not freezing rain possible. That would be this crosshatch thing here that's down in the corner. So we're not seeing that at this point. And if I pull up let's pull up these maps here. So here's what the map should look like at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You can see in this, we've got a mix to the north, and south of there, we got mainly rain. We continue to go into a mix, which is more likely right along the front and near the second low pressure system. At 2 o'clock in the morning, then we should be almost all over to snow, and most of it being could be in the form of lake effect, but I think the temperatures at 5,000 feet aren't quite warm enough, if I remember right when I was writing the forecast the last couple of days. Then we do expect to have a dry period on Friday for at least a portion of it before the next low pressure system. We got this one here, and then it moves in and drops in. And we got rain and a mix. And then Saturday it gets by, and then we get all the cold air. And then some really cold air comes down as we get into Saturday morning. And then lake effect is the possibility there. That's one of the things we were looking at. So if we go through the day 4 through 7, let's see. Well, I wanted this, but what's the gridded forecast? No, that's not what I wanted. Day 3. So there's that cold air really getting in here. So the high looks like it's supposed to drop in a little bit farther south instead of being hung up by Hudson Bay. So let's see what happens with it. Well, it's gonna be between Michigan and Hudson Bay. So that may not lend itself to getting completely dry, but it does look like we will get cold, and we will probably end up with that lake effect, which will, from what I remember, would continue on into possibly, what is this now? Oh, Tuesday morning. I think by that time, then things start to dry out a bit. But then we got the next system coming up, and with all that cold air in place, oh, look at that. We got a high moving up closer in towards Hudson Bay. We've got a low moving up out of the mid-Mississippi Valley with a warm front off to the south, and that's for Wednesday. So that's that's kind of with what we're looking at over the next time period here. So we're going to quickly take a look at the tabs, and then we will look at the point and click here. I was going to do that before I did the maps, but I think the maps probably kind of. So we got pretty much today the light snow. Looking ahead, since it's not expected to be anything significant, we kind of do more of a general graphic when we do these things. Looking ahead, then Friday 35 to 45, mixed rain, snow, little sunshine, but then Saturday, scattered snow showers. Like I said, lake effect. Sunday, lake effect, and temperatures drop even further as we get into the teens and 20s for highs. Not what we want. And like I said, in the southeastern, especially in the southeast, but although Manistee, the Manistee River and some of its tributaries are causing some flood issues too in a few places. So just be aware of that as well. Let's see. Did I have anything else that I wanted to cover on the other Chrome tabs? I had the freezing thing, and I had this. Oh, okay. Don't think so. Oh, well, I did want to do this. So this is a nice thing about our Office website. Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, National Server. Let's see if we can get it to draw. There we go. So our forecasts are drawn. We work with them. And this is one of the things that we're looking at right now. Oh, hi, Deborah Ann. Oh, your cousin graduated. Oh, cool. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So the way our forecasts work is everything is a 2.5 kilometer by 2.5 kilometer grid. So, roughly 1.5 miles by 1.5 miles, I think, if I remember the numbers converting. And so there's in Gaylord, and then we can show that, and we can zoom in on that a little bit. So this is actually closer to where my house is now. But the forecast shouldn't be all that much different. But if you're looking for specific numbers, that can make a difference, just the way lake effect goes. So we've got rain and snow likely mainly after 5 p.m. Okay, so we can take a look at that. Rain and snow showers likely becoming all snow after 8 p.m. tonight. That was more likely to have happen. Oh, probably as that low pressure system comes through tonight. That's what's going on. Then a 30% chance of snow tomorrow. Things really quiet down for, like I said, Friday is, it could actually be, some places could say dry, gradually becoming mostly sunny. There we go. And then Saturday, the snow showers start to appear as that next cold front comes through and really starts to get going. So I was just kind of looking for my. Oh, let's take a look. So, just that's kind of the ins and outs of what's been going on and what's on in my weather mind, which is, you can ask Mary. It's quite happens most of the time. All right. With all that, thanks a lot, people, for listening and following along. If you were, I am going to start putting these embeds from when I upload them to YouTube. I'm going to start putting those on my Northern Michigan recreational weather blog site, since I have not been writing anything in a while. And this has been kind of the outlet to start doing this again. So have a great day.